Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, U.S. Immigration News. We hope you're doing great. In this video, we're going to talk about U.S. Immigration Authority clarifies Trump's new H-1B visa requirement applies only to. The U.S. Immigration Authority has clarified that President Trump's newly announced $100,000 H-1B visa fee will only apply to new petitions, easing some confusion, but still fueling concern among skilled workers and tech industries worldwide. If you're interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has issued a clarification on Trump's new order on H-1B visa. Trump, on September 19, signed a new proclamation announcing a $100,000 fee for H-1B visa applications. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, the Immigration Authority said that President Trump's new H-1B visa requirement applies only to new, prospective petitions that have not yet been filed. Petitions submitted prior to September 21st, 2025 are not affected. It added. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also took to the microblogging platform stating that the $100,000 is not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. She further clarified that those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. Here's the full letter shared by USCIS on X. Proclamation. Restriction on entry of certain non-immigrant workers, H-1B, September 19, 2025. The President issued a proclamation. Restriction on entry of certain non-immigrant workers to address systemic abuse of H-1B non-immigrant visas. Pursuant to Sections 212F and 215A of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S.C. 1182(1) and 1185(a), the entry into the United States of aliens as non-immigrants to perform services in a specialty occupation under Section 101A, 15, H.I. B of the INA, 8 U.S.C. 1101A, 15, H.I. B is restricted, except for those aliens whose petitions are accompanied or supplemented by a payment of $100,000. This guidance applies to H-1B employment-based petitions filed after 12:01 a.m. ET on September 21, 2025. His proclamation only applies prospectively to petitions that have not yet been filed. The proclamation does not apply to aliens who are the beneficiaries of petitions that were filed prior to the effective date of the proclamation, are the beneficiaries of currently approved petitions, or are in possession of validly issued H-1B non-immigrant visas. All officers of United States Citizenship and Immigration Services shall ensure that their decisions are consistent with this guidance. The proclamation does not impact the ability of any current VIM holder to travel to or from the United States. India sends more skilled workers to the U.S. than any other country. Trump's visa hike has sparked panic. A sudden announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump imposing a $100,000 fee on new H-1B visa applications has sparked widespread panic among Indian professionals and created turbulence across the global tech industry. The H-1B program, long seen as a lifeline for highly skilled workers, particularly Indians, now faces disruption with both humanitarian and economic consequences. The confusion was vividly illustrated on an Emirates flight from San Francisco to Dubai, where passengers, any of them Indian H-1B holders, air unsure if they could re-enter the U.S. Video from the scene showed passengers leaving the plane in panic, while the captain attempted to calm the situation. The White House justified the measure as an effort to curb systemic abuse of the visa system and to prioritize hiring of American workers. However, critics argue the policy undermines U.S. competitiveness by targeting a program that has enabled companies like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft to attract global talent. Indian nationals are consistently the largest beneficiaries, and the fee threatens to derail their career prospects while heavily burdening firms reliant on large numbers of visa applications. India's Ministry of External Affairs expressed concern about the humanitarian impact on families, while NASCOM, the country's key IT industry body, warned that the decision could harm America's innovation ecosystem. The scale of the cost is significant. Amazon alone secured around 10,000 H-1B visas for the 2025 fiscal year, which would now translate into $1 billion in potential fees. Tata Consultancy Services, with more than 5,500 visas, could face $550 million in added expenses. Industry analysts, including Nomura, expect IT service providers will not absorb these costs, but instead accelerate offshoring, automation, and hiring in nearshore locations such as Mexico and Canada. H-1B visas will likely be restricted to mission-critical roles where local workers cannot fill the gap. The visa fee comes against a backdrop of rising U.S.-India economic tensions. Just weeks earlier, the Trump administration imposed 50% tariffs on Indian goods, citing India's imports of Russian oil. Analysts note this extends trade friction into the services sector, with potential ripple effects on technology and innovation flows. Yet some see a potential silver lining for India. Economists suggest the restrictions could redirect top talent back home, strengthening India's tech ecosystem and positioning the country as a stronger global hub for innovation. Local voices echo this sentiment, with many arguing that America may lose out more than India if skilled professionals are forced to return and build their careers domestically. What we know and don't know about Trump's H-1B crackdown. President Donald Trump's announcement of major changes to the H-1B visa caused confusion among visa holders, immigration attorneys, and his own administration over the weekend. In an Oval Office announcement at 5 p.m. Friday, Trump said his administration would begin charging $100,000 for the much-debated visa category. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, standing behind the president, said that would be a yearly fee and that big tech was on board. A short time after that, the White House posted an official proclamation stating that the new fees would take effect by the end of the weekend, sparking concerns that current H-1B holders outside the United States would not be able to re-enter without paying $100,000. Immigration attorneys then reported that clients were calling with concerns about making it back and how this might impact their jobs and families, while the White House, the Department of Homeland Security, and the State Department had to issue clarifications. The proclamation issued Friday evening has sent shockwaves through just about every industry in the U.S. Alyssa Taub, an immigration attorney at Siskin Susser in Tennessee, told Newsweek, "It's been a really exhausting weekend of counseling clients with evolving, imprecise, and inconsistent statements from the government that belie the fact that those in charge of implementing this outrageous policy have no idea how the system works. For lack of a better term, my clients are freaked out by this, and so are my colleagues around the country and the world." H-1B visa fees, before and after Trump admin's program changes. Previous and current H-1B lottery applications are subject to a $215 filing fee, plus fees of up to $780. Some employers also opt for premium processing, which the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service charges an extra $2,805 for. On Friday, Trump signed proclamation entitled Restriction on Entry of Certain Non-Immigrant Workers. It stated that a new $100,000 fee will be imposed for H-1B visa applications. This caused confusion for immigrants and their attorneys, who were unclear whether current visa holders would be prevented from re-entering the U.S. after Sunday night, when the proclamation was set to take effect. The chaos and internal contradictions over the past 48 hours are very similar to Trump's first Muslim ban back in January 2017. Doug Rand, a former DHS official, told Newsweek, "This is what happens when highly consequential documents are drafted in secret by ideologues, without any apparent input from expert civil servant attorneys who would say pesky things like, 'This is incoherent,' and 'this is unlawful.'" What has the White House said about the new H-1B rules? White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt took to X on Saturday to clarify the situation. To be clear, 1, this is not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee that applies only to petition. 2, those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. On the White House website on Sunday, further clarification was given, including that the fee would be required for all H-1B applications submitted after 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday, including the 2026 H-1B lottery. The press release also said that Trump's proclamation did not apply to previously issued H-1Bs or any applications filed before Sunday. On Monday morning, it was reported that healthcare workers would be exempt from the change. What has the State Department said about the changes? The State Department, which is responsible for the foreign national part of a visa application, pointed Newsweek to its similarly worded clarification on the H-1B changes shared over the weekend, in which it added that the proclamation did not affect fees for H-1B renewals. The department repeated that the new rules did not prevent H-1B holders from traveling in and out of the U.S. Despite that reassurance, concerns were raised about the global perception of how welcoming the U.S. now was to foreign workers, with the H-1B being one of the most popular work visas among tech companies, colleges, research institutions, and healthcare. Jenny Murray, president and CEO of the National Immigration Forum, said in a press release Monday that doing business will get harder for companies that rely on H-1B visas to complement their American-born workforce. Despite Trump showing support for the H-1B in the past, there's long-held skepticism from his MAGA base and many on the right for the program, with the leading argument against it being that it hurts STEM workers born in the U.S. For too long, loopholes in the H-1B program have allowed corporations to undercut American workers and depress wages under guise of labor shortage. Elizabeth Jacobs, Director of Regulatory Affairs and Policy at the Right-Leaning Center for Immigration Studies, said in a press release Monday, by imposing this new fee, the Trump administration is signaling that U.S. workers must come first, but meaningful legislative reform is still urgently needed. That view is not shared by all of those who want to see meaningful changes to the U.S. immigration system, including Murray. This executive order stifles a legal immigration program on which many American businesses depend with effects that benefit Americans and the U.S. economy, Murray said. We need to strengthen our security and leadership in the world with fair, orderly legal immigration channels that bolster our global economic standing. Today's H-1B change is bad for business and goes against our long-term interests. How many H-1B visas are issued each year? While there's a yearly cap that limits the H-1B in part, around 85,000, many employment categories are exempt. Analysis by the Pew Research Center estimated that around 400,000 H-1B applications were approved in 2024, more than twice the number approved in 2000. Most of these are for visa renewals, rather than new applications. Trump's proclamation echoed concerns that the number of foreign STEM workers had increased significantly in recent years, while tech companies laid off American workers. It also referenced concerns that college graduates have been struggling to find jobs in their respective fields due to the presence of immigrant workers. What other changes are planned for the H-1B? Trump, in the memos released since his announcement, referred to further changes coming to the H-1B program. There's already been discussion of an approval for a wage-weighted approval process to replace the current lottery method. The Department of Labor is looking at revising and raising the so-called prevailing wage rules around the H-1B to ensure salaries match American-born workers, while the DHS was also looking at adding new rules around an applicant's skill levels. What happens next? While the proclamation took effect Sunday morning, it is up to Congress to set immigration fees and schedules. It is unclear whether this will happen. The White House may also face litigation from immigration attorneys or companies reliant on the H-1B for the way the changes were announced and rolled out. While details continue to unfold, uncertainty remains over how the rule will affect future applicants. For now, Indian professionals and global companies alike are bracing for the broader impact of Trump's H-1B crackdown.
U.S. Immigration Authority clarifies Trump's new H-1B visa requirement applies only to President Trump's September 19 proclamation imposing a $1 lakh fee on new H-1B visa petition has caused confusion and widespread concern. USCIS clarified that the rule applies only to petitions filed after September 21, 2025, excluding renewals and current visa holders. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt emphasized it is a one-time fee, countering Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick claimed it was annual. The State Department confirmed that re-entry for exciting H-1B holders remain unaffected. Issued Under Section 212 and 215 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, the order added to curb this program abuse and prioritize US workers. However, the abrupt roll-up drew comparison to Trump 2017 travel ban, with immigration attorneys citing inconsistent guidance. Critics, including India Ministry of External Affairs and NASCOM, warn of economic fallout, especially as Indian professionals dominate. H1B uses tech giants like Amazon and TCS face massive costs, with analysts predicting offshoring, automation, and hiring shifts. Litigation challenges and congressional debates are expected.